How to hack a 12-year-old to learn data science. So I'm a proud dad, so I think my son's pretty cool. He plays hockey, he plays the drums in a grunge band with me. He's a percussionist in the band, in the high school, not the high school, junior school band. But he loves sports. He loves college football. He loves the New York Yankees. I mean, loves the New York Yankees. Well, sorry. Or Eagle, right? But here's the thing. I wanted to figure out a way to make him love math and statistics. And so what I tried to do is I tried to figure it out. I talked to a lot of people, and somebody said, why don't you have him watch Moneyball, the movie? And we watched Moneyball. I had seen it years ago, and we really dissected it. And I think he got the idea. He really, like when I explained what we were trying to do, he loved it. And so if you don't know the Moneyball story, actually, in 2002, the Oakland A's had the third lowest salary, and the Yankees had the highest salary. And they both won 103 games that year, right? And this changed baseball forever because they used math and science. And the ironic thing, at the end of the movie, they talk about how the Yankees paid $500,000 per win more than the A's did. So I decided that I'd teach him R. And so we started learning R, and it was actually kind of simple for the basic things. I thought it was going to be harder, like variables and vectors and matrix. He actually kind of, he took into it pretty quick. And he learned that. And then I realized I have to learn like shell and shit. I'm like, uh-oh. Now I got to teach him like VI and stuff like that. But we got through that too. I got him through a basic, I gave him these kind of tasks where I told him, go out and find the top 5 pitchers, put their ERAs in a file, and then print me a file with that. And then once he got past that, we went back to R, and I said, let's create a vector and put those ERAs and players in an array, and then use some basic statistics. What's interesting is he already knew about min, max, mean, and all that stuff. He just didn't realize it could be fun. And now, actually, he was like, this is really cool, Dad. I knew this stuff. But so first assignment, and then I get a second assignment where I gave him a much more complicated thing, where I had him create a file from a multi-dimensional file with strikeouts and ERAs, and taught him how to read it in. And we did the same thing, and this time I taught him how to do a bar plot. And again, pretty good. The problem I had right now is I was motivating him by increasing his allowance. And his mom didn't like that a whole lot. So I had to come up with another hack, right? This is all about hacking kids. And so last year, I took him to Tel Aviv DevOps with me, and the local organizers invited him to do Ignite. And so he did an Ignite on airplanes, and he just loved it. He loved the spotlight. He's like his dad. He just likes speaking, right? And then he said, I want to do this again, Dad. And I said, next time it has to be on R statistics. So he's, okay, all right. And so he actually came up with this idea, putting the R in sports. And we worked together. I mean, I had to help him a lot. I mean, we created a GitHub account. It was pretty cool. And here's the thing about sports, for anybody who has kids that want to learn this kind of things, there's tons of baseball data. There's something called Sabermetrics out there. It's actually statistical for baseball. We have some winners there. Also, in R, there's what they call the Sean Layham database. It's an R package that has every baseball statistic to 1871. I actually created a Docker container that actually has it. It's pretty cool. You load it. But anyway, we went ahead and we took like 5 top players, Ruth, Mays, and Aaron. We installed our studio. And we took their batting. We were going to look at their career hitting. So here again, we went back to the statistics, right? And we used a summary function. And he happens to, this is where it got interesting to him. We realized he could prove he can win arguments with data. Because Jeter is his favorite player all time. And like Jeter gets on base more than Ruth, Mays, and Aaron, right? So that was really cool. And then we went back to the Moneyball story, right? And that was about how many people get on base, right? How to get on base. And this was interesting because it showed him math in a completely different way, right? Like all of a sudden it's like, wow, this is pretty interesting, Dad. So we went back to the R studio and we did the OBPs for those top 5 players. And we went ahead and, again, did the statistical analysis of the bar chart. But here's the thing, right? Like he loved young 12-year-old boys. They like to argue about who's the best player, who's the best team, right? He started figuring out that he could actually win arguments. And one of the arguments that he won, and I helped him with this one because I agree, Mariano Rivera is the greatest relief pitcher in the history of baseball, and I got the math to prove it, folks. But I was a pretty proud dad. About 3 weeks ago, he spoke at Velocity on an Ignite. It was like 300 or 400 people in the room. How I learned how to become a data scientist, from a dad perspective. We're going to keep doing this. He actually met people that came up to him after him and told him about machine learning. Like, oh shit, I got to learn that too now. But he had this idea now. He loves magic cards. And he wants to figure out, Dad, could we actually do some predictive learning on magic card prices? So we're going to have some fun over the next year. So Keep your eye out on the Twitter sphere, see what he does. Thank you very much.